This is, what's this like behind the scenes. And later on, myself, Darren, and Jim Key, we're going to be telling you what we did nights before, our nights before the competition.
It's Thursday at the 2009 Toastmasters International Convention, and we are at the main stage, the stage where it took place for all of us, and it changed our lives forever. And the contest is going to be taking place on Saturday. So, guys, what are some of your memories prior to the contest?
Wow. I remember the microphone, the morning mic test, the morning of the event, when they said, it says clearly in the rules that you must, number one, wear your jacket and tie. Didn't mention pants. And I had been reading and studying great comedians, and it said Jerry Lewis that right before he took the stage, he would be in his dressing room wearing boxers because he didn't want to break the crease in the pants. So I thought, well, I'm a slob. I don't want to get dirt or food on my pants. So I remember I just wore regular shorts. And I remember you asking me, and tennis shoes, and you asking me after the fact, were you trying to psych us out?
No, well, yeah, what I said was, were you sandbagging us? Because I remember seeing him, and you know, when you're around the other contestants, whether you want to admit it or not, you're kind of sizing each other up and saying, okay, what does this guy have? What does this guy have? And then here Darren is with the coat, the tie, the shorts, and I'm going, what the heck is this? You know? And then he comes out and does his speech, and I'm like, oh, man, he was sandbagging us. I knew it. I knew it. But no, that was a cool thing.
But tensions are really high, no matter what. And like you said, I mean, that's brilliant. You can't help it.
Right, right.
It's human nature.
Yeah.
What's one of the best things maybe you did in your preparation?
As well, in my preparation, it was actually, but the difference.
Was that like version 1, 2, or 3?
Yes, there was. Yes, there was. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. One of the things that I think we all recommend to people is record yourself. Record your practices. And so in 2001, I recorded myself some. I didn't take that extra step of studying the recording. and so in 2002, I recorded myself more, and I studied some of them. Not as many as I should have, obviously, but in 2003, I recorded all of my practices. Some of them, it was only audio recording, but most of them I did video. And I would go back and I would watch that and study and study. And so I poured a greater level of scrutiny into my performance because I knew, when you are on this stage, you have to bring your A game. And so that's what I wanted to make sure I did.
Well, obviously you won in 2003. Well, what was the difference? What was that aha moment from the first, second, and third? What did you gain from that additional study?
Well, I don't know if the biggest thing I gained was from the study because of my experience and the things in going through it. For me, the biggest change came because of my focus. I wanted to do the technical things right, the performance aspects and the writing and all, but my focus, the decision to compete a third time was because I wanted to be the right kind of example for my kids. And so the focus became other than me. And that infused my speech writing and creating process to have my speeches not be about me, being about doing something valuable for the people in the audience. And that, I think, brought about the biggest change because my championship speech was an improved version of my regional speech in 2002, but in 2002, it didn't quite have the audience focus. And I think that was the biggest thing, just remembering this is a cool thing, but ultimately it's not about me, it's about serving however many people are going to be in my audience.
Yeah, well, it's about the audience and serving. And I remember in part of my preparation is I had one rule in terms of my preparation, and that is the audience decided. The audience decided what stayed in my speech and what left my speech. And I remember that early versions of my speech, I had this one line, and I don't remember what the line was, but I thought it was so clever. I thought it was so brilliant. And no matter,
we've been there.
And no matter how many different times I delivered it, they just didn't get it. And then it occurred to me, I didn't get it. And the audience decided, and I'll never forget this, before I actually flew out to Miami Beach, Florida, I spoke 30 times in front of 30 different clubs. And there was just one club, and they didn't laugh at anything. Now, keep in mind, if you watch my championship speech, there's some laughs.
Funny. Yeah. Funny.
There's some
Very
laughs
funny.
there. And they only laughed in 2 spots, but it turned out to be a gift. Because I said to myself, those are my 2 funniest lines. And everything else that was marginal, I cut it out, and I kept to my rule, the audience decides.
Yeah.
So that was very, very helpful.
One of the things I love learning about your practice is the fact that you would go to a club and just change one line to get feedback on just because otherwise, if you change too many things, you're not really sure what had the effect. So I thought that was brilliant.
Well, I would go to a club in the morning. I would try that one line this way, and then I would go to a club in the afternoon. And I would try it that way.
Just a little different.
Just a little different.
Yeah.
And we would do a roundtable evaluation, and not necessarily just about that line, but just getting feedback. And I recorded those sessions. And I did study. I didn't study all of them, but I did study. Towards the end, I did study.
Right.
I think those last 10 rehearsals, I definitely looked at those and looked at them over and over and over again.
Yeah. You know, one of the things that I found is when I practiced, I always wanted to practice like you play. I mean, I would wear the suit I was gonna wear. I would try to get the biggest speaking area possible so that I could practice with this kind of stage. And there was a practice I had that if you look at it on paper, like this, there's just nothing good that can come from it. In 2001, the club met early in the morning at a restaurant. I had a wreck on the way to the practice. Oh. It was horrible. I still went. It was in the back room of a restaurant, a very small speaking area. It was almost like speaking in a box, between tables. And I thought, well, you know what? I mean, these people came, so I'm going to go ahead and practice. And at that practice, I got the piece of advice that, from my 2001 speech, became the signature moment of the speech, and that was, why do I have to keep reliving this? It was in asking the audience to sing the Barney song. Before, my plan was, I'm just going to do it myself. But there was a lady there who was a past district governor. She had been to these things. She knew. She goes, the audience will be at a point of emotional readiness to engage with you on that. And every other fact about that practice would have said, this is going to be a waste of time. But at that one, even when you think the setting isn't perfect, if you put in the work, you can still get that one nugget that's going to be the game changer for you.
That's so true. Every practice, you got a nugget.
Yeah. Some are bigger nuggets than others, but there always was something. This was important to me, but I want to know from you guys, when did you know you were on the right track with your speech? Because for me, it was, I remember vividly, I spoke at the Humor and Drama Toastmasters at MIT, and it was a foreign exchange student who came up to me after and said, she spoke very thick, broken accent, and she said, I listened to your speech. My family told me to go home and quit school. I listened to your speech, and I decided to stay. And it was at that moment that I knew it helped someone. Yeah. I knew I was on the right path. I still had a lot of work to do, but once my belief went up, it kind of changed the game, and I stopped. It got rid of one huge worry. What about you guys?
Which year are we talking about? The question was, when did we know that we were
on the right path?
On the right
path? It was the right speech.
Well, in terms that are very similar to what you said, when I went to practices, and after the evaluations were over and the meeting was over, people who would come up and say how the content of that resonated with them, how it meant something significant to them because of their life experience and where they were in their jobs and careers and such. And so when I started getting the feeling like this message is making a difference, I was like, I think I'm onto something.
Rather than somebody giving you the feedback, well, that was, the judges are going to think this, or it was.
Yeah, it's like, it wasn't even a concern. This is what this meant to me. Yeah.
Well, I had several different experiences, and I had two concerns about my speech. Number one, yours truly is a hero of the speech. Yeah. I never felt comfortable with that.
Right.
That was something that haunted me every single day. But at the same time, I was also wake up every day and having this idea about audience participation, having the audience say one of those days.
Right.
And like I said before, 98% of well-meaning, good-intentioned Toastmasters told me not to do it. And it was only the world champions who said, that's a game changer.
Yeah.
Do it.
They think differently.
Yeah, exactly.